Okay, okay, video's on. All right. I guess I'll sit down and. Okay, so before I actually do that, this is the first time I'm ever doing this on video or well, on YouTube. It's probably going to be the first of many explanation videos, which will feature my take on certain pieces of music, like what I think about them and how I analyze them after listening to them for so many times. And I guess this one will be about Princess by Rib. So, well, the singer is Rib. It was composed by Ryujin Kiyoshi. And, well, in my opinion, you can tell that it was actually Ryujin Kiyoshi that composed this because the style is very apparent. I'll get to that in very soon. So I guess we'll start from the intro. So the key of the entire song is mainly on E flat or D sharp major, call it what you will. I prefer to use D sharp more than E flat because I tend to view it as it's the sharp of D rather than the flat of E. But E works. I mean, E flat works, but the case is that as the song progresses, Princess transposes from D sharp to E. So in music theory, if you want to like say a key or like a note next to each other, you have to make sure they're in alphabetical order. So you can't just say, oh, the initial key was E flat and then now it's E. Well, you can technically say that, but in certain conditions, you can't do that. Like for example, when you're naming scale notes, like C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Well, that's still in alphabetical order perfectly. But if you have like complicated, sorry, not complicated, different scales, the same scale but on different keys. Let's say the notes overlap each other. For example, C sharp. Sorry, something like that. You can say it's C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp. Notice that I don't name the notes their individual supposed names. For example, I called C as a B sharp because they needed to be in alphabetical order. You can't just A sharp and then C and then C sharp. You're violating several letters there, two letters. But well, that's the context of the whole thing. So yeah, to start with, the key of Princess is on the key of D sharp. And E major. And the reason why this particular song is very memorable to me is because the certain aspects of the song actually caught my interest because, well, I'm a fan of the 2-5-1 progression, but the way that this song particularly uses it is quite interesting, I must say. So let's start. So the intro goes where he sings. So the first chord is G sharp. And then the next part is C sharp. Sorry, not C sharp. I would say it's B major 7 on C sharp, which is a type of a dominant chord because it's derived from C sharp dominant, which is C sharp, F, G sharp, and B. But this type of chord is used to replace a dominant kind of chord, so it has sort of mimicking it's supposed to mimic a dominant sound. Right? It may not sound very dominant, but that's the dominant voicing, and this is the B major 7 over C sharp. Right? And so the relationship. Wait, before I get into that, let me continue. So the first chord is G sharp major 7. And then it goes to Yoruba, which is I don't know if this chord actually existed in the actual thing, but it's basically the minor of G sharp, minor 7, and it goes to G minor 7 as well, and then where he goes, I die, your baby. That's actually quite unique. That's actually a tritone substitution in action. So what you just saw was a 2-5-1. So it's supposed to be a 2-5-1, right? But the 2-5-1 is a bit unique. So what he did there was a G minor 7, and then the 5 was supposed to be a C dominant. But in this case, he did a tritone substitution. Now, what is a tritone substitution? Is where you have a 2-5-1 progression, and where the G is the 2. Well, I'm explaining it in terms of G, C, and F. So where G is the 2, C is the 5, F is the 1, right? And if you do a tritone substitution, you're substituting the 5 in the 2-5-1 for its tritone. So the tritone of C in this case is a F sharp. You can choose this F sharp or this F sharp, but in this case, well, you can do this, but it sounds more chromatic if you choose this one because you're initially playing the G there. You see, it adds the chromatic descent effect, right? So what you're doing here is a minor 2, a dominant 5th, but you tritone substitute it into the tritone dominant. I'm not sure if that's what you call it. And then, well, I make it sound fancier, and then it resolves to a minor 1, sorry, which is the F sharp. The F minor 7. You can also do an F minor 9, whatever you prefer, and then it chromatically descends to what I thought was a tritone substitution, but no, it's not, because, well, now what you can do is this, which is also 2-5-1, but instead of doing that, he did, which is, in my opinion, very common in most Japanese music, like the old-fashioned ones. You can find it in Super Mario even, but particularly in Japanese compositions. And so he went from F minor 7 to E major 7, resolving to the 1, the home chord, D sharp major 7, or major 9. And, well, the chord in particular is very compatible with the C minor blues scale. And aside from playing this particular scale along with it, it's also compatible with its own chromatic variations as well of the D sharp chord. So Reijin Kiyoshi made full use of the chromatic scale of D sharp in this case, in my opinion. So from the beginning, it sounds like da 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 da. And then in here, I don't know what made him choose this, but he went to an F on G. Nah, darling with me. And on that part, he went to a G dominant, sort of. Darling with me. And this one is the one that caught my ear. At first, I didn't know what chord this was, but it's sort of a B on C sharp, but you sharp the 5. Alright, so from to this, it became this. So now, darling with me, and then he did the tiny up there, somewhere over there. And then he did the whole intro thing, which is where the chord progression starts to actually kick in. Now this is the interesting part. He started from D sharp major 7, and then This is the beginning of a 2-5-1, where this, the home chord, is actually the 2, which is a bit odd in my opinion. Then he went to a F sharp on G sharp. Then he went to C sharp major, which you can see is a 2-5-1. Right? Right? And then after that, he went a half step up using a D diminished. Right? But let's make it sound fancier. And then he directly went to the minor 3 of the original key. And then he did the tritone substitution again. And then he did the 2-5-1. So it sounds kind of like. And that's where the song starts. And in that part, he used I don't know what he was thinking when he did this, but he chose A diminished or half diminished. I don't know the actual name, but basically where A7 is like this, you flat the 3rd, you flat the 5, and now it becomes. But then you put the C on top. C7. And then he went back to the minor 2. Or either right? So this song also incorporates the backdoor 2-5-1. So what the backdoor 2-5-1 is that where the normal 2-5-1 is in F, B flat, D sharp. Now the 2-5-1 is G sharp, C sharp, and where it's supposed to be F sharp, it became the D sharp. How does this happen? Well, the logic behind this theory is you can see that the normal 2-5-1 for this is supposed to be G sharp, C sharp, and F sharp, right? But instead of going back to the 1 being F sharp, now the 1 is here. The reason why we call it this one, becoming the 1, is because it gives that feeling of resolvement. And it also coincidentally happens to be the key center of the entire song. And so what you do is you pick the 2, then the 5, and then you go a whole step up. That's what gives the 2-5-1 release. So backdoor 2-5-1, and this is used a lot in the entire song. So wait, hold on. That's actually relatively quite simple. So from when he repeated it, this time it went to the normal, how common progressions are. 2-5-1, and then chromatic descent, B flat minor 7, which is also gonna be a 2-5-1, right? 2-5, 2-5, and then he went to the in that part he went to the minor 3, and then he went to you can go to the 2-5, right? But the 5 can be dominant as well, or you well, in this case I used all of them. I used both the 2-5-1 and the tritone, right? Then he used the normal 2-5-1, but he didn't resolve it back to this. He went back again to the minor 3, and then here's where the magic happens. And then he went a half step up using the backdoor 5 of the key. Right? So it goes like. And then he did the this very awesome thing. I don't know what's the theory behind it, but it sounds awesome. So he did the on his bass. So the bass goes G, A, B flat, C, right? So G and then whole step, half step, whole step, right? And this chord is a typical chord used when you're expressing a 5 as a function of a dominant. For example, the dominant 5 of a 2-5-1 in C would be D minor 7, G7, C major, right? But the fancy version, a slightly fancier version of this to make it sound nicer is in the D minor 7 you have the F, A, and C with D as the root note, and then you keep the hat on. I call this the hat, and then you only change the person wearing it, which is a G, which is supposed to be the dominant, right? And now this G has a very nice sound. Now it resolves very nicely to the 1. And so that's what this kind of chord is for. It's a typical, the easiest way to form this chord is you pick a major triad, identify the root, and play something a whole step higher as a root note. And continue this. Now in this case, Ryujin Kiyoshi used, which are all the same kind of chord. My feelings for you. And then he went to the original progression. And he did a chromatic descent. Dominant, backdoor, progression, 5-1, and then to the intro, 5-1, diminished, minor 3, tritone, minor 9, tritone. This is why I think it's very interesting, and the rest of the progression is the same, except for the part where Rip does the rap. Where listen, hey, don't give up. And then in the rap part, he did a very different progression, which sounds very nice. And then he did I don't know what made him do this, but he did F sharp diminished, right? And then he went to this B minor 9 to the 5 version of that, which is not using the C though, with a B flat. And he went to a C sharp on B major 7 on C sharp, and then this thing is C sharp on D sharp. And he did the this is a really cool part. From here, he went to A major 7 on B. Then he slid down to the 5 of the original key, the G sharp major 7 on B flat. And then the next part is he repeated the common chord progression. Back there, right? So the rap part sounds like this. Something like that. And later on in the key change, you will find it going which is very smart. He changes because this is the position is like this. So he did this the bridge thing I was talking about earlier, right? But now he uses this to transpose to the other key, which was E. The way he did this is by doing this, like G, whole step, half step, and then another half step. Now what this means is that, like previously, if you stop here, right, this is the active 5 of the original key. Sorry, so 2, 5, 1, right? That's the 5 of D sharp. But now if he moves a half step up using the same chord, right, he only needs to double sharp the 5, make it a 6. If he does this, this is the main 5 of E major. 2, 5, 1. Right? So now he's in the key of E already now. And just repeat the same progression. And here's where it gets interesting. He did the backdoor 251. It seems like he's about to do the backdoor 251. He could have resolved it like that, but instead he did the backdoor 251 partially. 2, 5, and then so he did the way he did the 5 was he did A minor triad with the D as root. And then after doing this, he went to the how do I describe this? Where you would do a normal 251, you would do it F sharp, B, A on B, and then E, right? But if you tritone substitute that, it becomes G flat minor, F major 7, E major 7. Well, technically not A major, but like F. It's supposed to be F dominant, but he made it major, and he combined this with the backdoor 251. Sorry. So he did the. Well, he didn't play the actual E at the end, but the way he resolved it was. And just like that. And well, that's the entire song really. And I find analyzing this song to be very, very frustrating and fun, because I realize the many things you can do to match everything you've learned in music, and where in a way where it sounds actually interesting, and the reasoning behind it too. Very interesting. So I guess that's the video for today, and I'll probably see you guys on the next one. So goodbye.